Okay, that's fine. So we've designed a biosand water filter in order to help recycle water in large institutions. First, a little bit of background. This was we'll be short, obviously. This is based on a design by Dr. David Manns, who built a small-scale filter to filter out dirty water in order to turn it into drinking water in undeveloped countries. So we decided to take that general idea and turn it into a much larger scale filter that can be used for non-potable water, so water that you're not going to drink. The filter that we've designed is able to filter out pathogens, particulate matter, iron, manganese, arsenic, fluoride. It can even do cholera. Again, this was designed as to make drinking water, so clearly it can clean water to the point where it's safe to ingest. So for what we're going to do with it, being the idea of recycling water through like a washing machine system or for showers or to run toilets, it doesn't need to be this clean, but it can be. That's important.
Okay, so before I go into this, here's a kind of a demonstration.
Ish.
All right, so it's kind of like a model, very small scale. Obviously, the larger scale would have a much higher flow rate, but you want to show them the water? Show them it's dirty.
It's dirty water. It's
mud water.
If you want to look at it, well, you're welcome to.
All right, just pour it in. Okay.
I don't feel like they're even covered in mud water.
Okay. All right. So that's dirty.
Now,
And
you can't see it very well from here, but it's coming out clean because sand isn't.
we need more light.
Yeah, it's.
So are you gonna drink it?
I would.
Give
Give it 10 minutes. Give it 10 minutes and I will drink this.
The full scale forms a bio layer. It's hard to go into in the short amount of time we're going to go with, but his filter is designed for drinking water. We don't intend on using it for drinking water. We intend on being able to remove detergents and dirt. Our main design was for washing machines in large scale institutions.
All right.
So I'm just going to hold this for the rest of the time.
Sure. All right. So,
Wait, go back.
back. Oh, right. All right. So, the average hotel uses approximately 3,600 liters of water per hour. This water leaves the hotel and is then sent to some form of. It goes into the environment back. It's used up and it goes back to the water cycle. Then the chemicals, namely detergents from washing machines, contribute heavily to what is known as eutrophication, which is where nitrogen in the water causes algae to bloom at an exponential rate, and the life cycle of the algae causes the water to lose all its oxygen, and all the fish and everything else dies because the water has no more oxygen. So this would keep that detergent out of the water cycle. Alright, so tank size, it's going to be 7.5 cubic meters. I believe we said 2.5 by 2 by 1.5 meters. And so you can kind of visualize that. I'm about 2 meters tall. We're going to have a system where it's used in 5 tanks in parallel, or however many tanks. We can even change the size depending on the capacity. So say you are a ski resort. Obviously you have many more guests in the winter than you do in the summer. Say you have 1,000 guests in the winter, but you only have 400 guests in the summer. You can turn off, say, 2 of the 5 tanks, and you would not have to use as much water. Those tanks that are off, you can, use maintenance or just let them sit.
It also cuts down on energy usage of not having to run the water through them and then pump it back out.
Right, you wouldn't use as many pumps. So for 5 7.5 cubic meter tanks in this parallel system, this would provide enough water to filter, or enough surface area to filter 10,000 liters of water per hour.
And that's based off of the calculations and experiments done by Dr. Mans.
I guess I already did that. All right, yeah. If one breaks, you know, you're not compromising the entire resort. You can still have, you know, 4 of the 5 tanks. Kind of similar to an airplane. One of its engines dies. You still have 3 engines. You can still fly. Is that you? That's me? Okay. So the tank is constructed of recycled steel, more environmentally friendly than regular steel. I believe he said it was 30 cents a pound, 25 cents a pound for the recycled steel. And the tank would be filled with different consistencies of filter sand. So you'd have the finer sand on top and then coarser sand towards the bottom.
Maintenance for this is actually really easy, as you guys might be worried about. Like a swimming pool, those are hard to take care of, lots of water going around. These are actually pretty easy. They're about 5-ish feet, so 1.5 meters high, so they're about 5 feet, give or take, high. So it's a lot, it's pretty easy. Mainly you guys just have to do is go around, walk around with a rake and just rake up the sand. Because of that bio layer that will be formed, it kind of might slow down water clearance and things like that. So depending on how much use your filter gets, kind of depends on how often you need to do this. So for really large scale hotels, we probably recommend about once a day, just going through raking the sand. And the cool thing about, like we said, we have 5 in hotel, like per hotel we're aiming for. You don't have to shut down the other 4 will be functional while you're cleaning one tank, and you can kind of just go through and clean them all. Yeah, and the actual sand needs to be changed out once every 2 years. So cost-wise, that's pretty manageable.
In the third world countries where these are already used as kind of a cheaper alternative to you know, water filtration plants, the sand, these filters last anywhere from 1 to 5 years. Obviously, we're not third world countries, so you know we can afford to do it more frequently if necessary. But the fact that they can last for 5 years is testament to their longevity.
Plus, on such a large scale, we figured it'd be safer to switch it out every once more often because it's going to obviously get a lot more use.
And by large scale, we mean something like the MGM Grand in Vegas, where there's like 6,000 rooms.
Okay, so then the budget of our Sandsational filters. Like we said, they'd be constructed from recycled steel and sand. Both of these are extremely cheap. Recycled steel is currently going for 25 cents per pound. That fluctuates, but it stays around that area. And then we found out that you can get a ton of sand for $30, which is a lot of sand.
That was out of Ohio.
Yes, but yeah, they're generally around like that same price with filter sand. So that means our cost per pound is $0.015 for a pound of sand. We calculated the volume of our tanks and the weight of the sand and the weight of the steel, so how much money we'd be spending, because we need to figure out how much those weigh in pounds. And we found that the cost per tank of steel is $202, the cost per tank of sand is $390, and we're advertising the 5-tank system to like the large hotels. That's what we're going for first. So then we have the total cost for 5 tanks is our $17,960, and then our goal 1 year is to have a 5-tank system in 50 hotels. And that is, there's plenty of hotels that size, all of the, like the MGM in Vegas, all of the Hiltons. Okay. So our total 1 year cost, putting 5 tanks in 50 hotels, was that $800,998,000. Yeah.
$898,000.
Yes.
We also assumed a $3,000 labor and fabrication cost. None of us have a metallurgical background, so we aren't exactly sure how much that would cost. But even if it increases a little bit, and this was kind of our high-end idea per tank, it's still very profitable.
We're charging $5,000 per tank, so $25,000 for a 5-tank system. We did a lot of research and looked at different types of steel tanks, and a 100-gallon steel tank, so much smaller, sells for upwards of $3,000. So our tank is extremely cheap for the hotels, and they'll also be saving money with their water bill because they'll be reusing the water in their system. And it's cheap for us to produce, so even with that price, that makes people want to buy it, and we will still, our first year profit will be $352,000. And then to offset our costs, we are asking for $1 million.
That means in less than 3 years, it pays for itself and then some, which is awesome.
Sandsational.
I did it.
Okay, all right. I thought that was another battery warning. So, yeah, don't drink that water. No,
I'm just gonna pass this around. Oh, well, all right, put it in there. This is clearly drinkable. Just pass that
It
around.
clearly doesn't have dirt in it. How about that? Now, what smaller things that might kill everybody?
So you guys can take 1 or 2 questions.
Yeah.
So how long does it actually take for these systems to filter through the water? Because it's still not making it through your water.
Well, okay, see, in this system is a minimal engineering version of, so in the actual system, the water pressure is going to be at constant maximum, so it's going to be like up to here, which heavier, it's going to flow faster. And additionally, the outflow pipe is not going to be this little tube. It's going to be, you know,
A huge diameter steel.
a big steel pipe. So it's going to flow a lot faster.
Also, David Mays is the guy who designed the small versions of it. With his calculations and what he's tested, it does 400 liters per square meter of surface area.
So
Per hour.
Per hour.
So our tanks have a larger surface area than
Than
this
this.
bottle.
Yes.
They're wider than they are deep, and then they'll filter 10,000 liters per hour with the 5 tanks.
And again, that's going off of what he has already, what's already built.
Do you have time for another question?
1 more.
Anyone? Go first.
Yeah, so like obviously it's his idea. Is there like any sort of limitations on you using his technology in your business?
Well, his designs are a little different. They're a lot smaller, obviously.
They're designed for third world countries.
For drinking.
Ours are, this design is not his design, it's inspired by his idea. So the only similarity is we use sand to filter. Everything else is completely original.
His idea uses concrete and plastic, which are not very environmentally friendly, so we are changing that design and using it on a large scale industry, and it's not nowhere in the world is it used on such a large scale.
And again, his is just designed to pour water into. This is going to be attached to pumps and be integrated into the water system of the hotels or any other institution for that matter.
Okay, so we'll have to